heard in our newsletters, on our websites, we have a really beautiful, fun spring product box. We as designers got together and we thought, what better way to help everyone out when they can't go out shopping necessarily than for us to kind of get together and decide what is it that you guys need at home to make. So we came out with a spring product box full of goodies, and I know you guys sold it out really fast, but it is coming back, so that's why you're still seeing content from us. We want to keep inspiring you if you already got it, and we want to keep inspiring you if you want to get it. So today I'm actually going to do a scrapbook page with mine. I've been really enjoying kind of catching up on my memory keeping the last few weeks while I've been at home, or actually it's been more than a few weeks. But I wanted to go first through what is in the product box so you know what you're getting. So the first two things we have are these I love these, the sequins and bead towers. This is green tea and cherry blossom. You're gonna get these two in your product box. You're also gonna get this die set called Bold Flora. It has 17 different dies in it. They're Thinlits, so they're great for cutting paper. They can actually cut our opulent cardstock and vellum and even our texture rolls. So these are great for, you get a couple of fun foliage elements right here in the leaves, and then you get a butterfly and some really nice layerable florals. The next thing you're gonna get is these circles. Now these circles aren't just your normal nesting ones. These ones are sized specifically to work with our dimensional domes because you get 2 of our 4 different types of dimensional domes in this. You get our largest one, which is 3.5 inches. And you get the next one down, which is 2.5 inches. These are great for making shaker cards, and that's perfect with the sequins and beads that come in the set. On top of that, you also get 10 sheets of our assorted cardstock colors. You're gonna get all of our pastels, which is perfect for spring, summer makes. Make some beautiful cards to send out to people. Mother's Day is coming up, so these are great ranges for that. And if you happen to go to our website, you will see on the link for the product boxes at the very bottom, I believe, there is a link to free downloadable content. And we have some really great free printable pattern papers. So you've got some nice pastel stripes, polka dots, things like that to really make your makes pop a little bit more. And then you also, in that free downloadable content, is some sentiments. These are perfect for our cards, and they also size really well with the circles that come in this set. So I love this. I'm actually gonna incorporate this on my make today. So the first thing I wanna do is, I know I'm gonna do a scrapbook page with lots of florals. So you can see I've pre-cut a bunch of flowers, but I find what's best is I just use a small sliver of each of the cardstocks in the set that you're gonna get, and I found that these are gonna go goes a long way with these. So I'm gonna use a bunch of them on my scrapbook page, but then I had enough left over that I actually can make other projects with it in the coming weeks, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So the first thing I wanna do, just to kind of show you what we're gonna make, is I'm gonna cut one of all of these florals so you can get an idea. What I do is I like to lay them all out at once. So I'll just lay a bunch of them on here so you can get an idea of what I did with all of the others. Okay. So as you can see, I like to just get all my cutting done at once. So I'll cut all my florals and get those out of the way. And then that way I have a bunch of different colors to work with. I can mix and match as I wanna go. I really have been inspired by floral wreaths and rainbow colors, so I wanted to do a little bit of everything. So what I went ahead and prepped was I had cut all of these and I pre-assembled a bunch of my floral elements so that you guys don't have to watch me put them together, but I am gonna show you how I paper sculpted them. One other thing I did in my pre-cutting process was I cut out of each of the different pattern papers, I cut all 4 of these circles. And what I did to save the pattern was I cut just a small portion of the pattern up so I could use the other pattern part in another make if I wanted to. I like to save my scraps. There's a reason for that. I always reuse them. And then I just cut all 4 circles. I like to do this when I'm doing scrapbook pages, just cut a bunch of elements ahead of time. It's okay, you're not going to be wasting anything because you can reuse everything on another make at another point. I keep a little scrap store of all my die cuts, and then sometimes I go in and I'm able to pull out a few elements for a card that I had already pre-cut. So I never see it as being wasteful if I just pre-cut a bunch of different things to have options. That was my sequins of beads falling to the floor. So I've pre-cut a bunch of circles that I'm going to use on the scrapbook page. But I'm just wanted to show you that I like to pre-cut everything as much as I can so that when I go to actually lay out the page, then I have options instead of having to go back and forth all the time. So that's all the die cutting. So now I'm going to show you how I put it together. Let me move these out of the way. So I've got a couple of pre-cut layered florals here that I'm going to assemble. These are obviously all from the die set I just did, but I already had these done. But I wanted my page to have some dimensional elements on it, so I'm using our paper sculpting kit, and I'm just gonna push into the molding pad with my stylus tools. And granted, obviously this really gets it going, and you can always push back down. I just wanted a little bit of dimension. If you don't have a stylus tool, or at home, you can actually do this with your fingers too. You just make your fingers kind of like a chopstick, and then you can get the same effect. And then I've got these ones, which I'm just going to do some light molding on, just so we have a little bit in the middle. Now for these larger ones, I like to create this effect where it bubbles up and kind of curves under. So the way to do that is to flip it over backwards first and just push in on this edge. And then you flip it back to the front side, and then you lightly push in on the front. And you can see how that bubbles up into more of a lifelike flower. So I just did that on everything, added a little bit of a push to give it a push up. And then I'm just going to use my express glue to put it all down. You can use whatever you have at home, access to liquid adhesive wise, double-sided tape, whatever your preferred method is for adhering. You can adapt it to whatever you have on hand. And then I'll just put these down together real quick. And then I'll pull up my scrapbook page so I can show you how I started to already layer up some of the pieces. I think my favorite thing with paper flowers is how easy they are to layer. And with this particular die set, there is so many layering options, so you can make a million different types of cards or scrapbook pages or home decor, and because there's so many different shapes, you can really customize it how you want it each time. You can see I'm not using a lot. You don't really need a lot to make these work. And then what I did on a couple of them is I took some of the sequins and beads from the different sets, and I hot glued the beads into the center of some of them to give them a little bit of a textural pop. So you'll see I did that with both sets of the green tea beads and the cherry blossom beads in the middle of the flowers. Another thing I did was I pre-cut out one of the sentiments using my circle set, and then I just added a few flowers to the top and some beads into the center of that one as well. So now that I've got all my flowers ready, and I've put beads on a few of them ahead of time, I want to show you real quick. Let me move this out of the way. The page. So I went ahead and already kind of laid out what would be considered my base. I've put on some of the pattern paper that we pre-cut, or not pre-cut, but pre-printed, and then I cut it down to size. I like working in groupings, so I decided I'm going to do a grouping of flowers here and a grouping of flowers here, and I'm going to put my sentiment here. So I built out the circles I pre-cut from the pattern papers, and I put some of them with foam tape so it would pop and give it a little more dimension. And then I added some of our sequins and beads on already from the towers. So now I'm just gonna lay on the rest of the flowers, and I'm gonna start with this top grouping and really kind of get how I want it to look. I'm gonna lay them out first. As you can see, I already prepped some of these with foam tape because I knew I wanted to have different layers. I've got some of the foliage pieces I pre-cut, so I'm gonna adhere those down as well. So I like to just kind of lay out everything first and get a really good feel for where I want things to be before I start gluing things down. It helps if you don't glue them down, because I've done that so many times in the past where I've started to glue something and then I hated the placement and I regretted it. So I'll just play around with this a little bit. Actually, I think I want that one down here. I think I'm gonna do this one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this one up here. So this is why I like to lay it out ahead, because I'm gonna move these around to fit together better. And this one is gonna be nice down here. I think I'm gonna add some foam tape to the back of this one, make it pop up. So this is a little trick I like to do, because I like to double up my foam tape so they get a little bit more of a pop. So I will actually double it in on itself and then place that behind. And then that way I have a nice little peel tab when I go to put it down. Okay. Okay, I think I kind of like the placement, so I'm just going to start adhering the elements down. You can use hot glue if you really want them to stick. I am fine using liquid adhesive because it's paper to paper. If I was using different materials, I'd probably would use hot glue just to really get it to stick in place. And I think also when you pre-cut stuff, it actually makes the layout process go a little bit faster, because then you have things you can play around with versus building out the page. By pre-doing it, I've essentially made my life a lot easier. Just gonna add a little glue to the back of this one to put the foliage element on. And then when you do dimensional elements, you can tuck things in underneath each other. It's what I did down here. I have this one up on a foam tape, and then I tucked in a flower underneath it. I like tucking things because then you really kind of, sorry, you give it a little bit more of a hidden element, and there's little features to look at. You just move these flowers out a little bit. And then we're going to move down to this grouping. So I've got that grouping in. I'll probably just add in a couple little star sequins up here, round out that green with the pink. Just such a nice color combination. So I'm just gonna add a few of those stars. And that grouping's done. So then I'm gonna come down to this one right here, and I actually wanna cover up this little circle a little bit more, so I'm going to move this flower down a bit. think I'm gonna pop this one. Oh, I did. I was smart. I already pre-popped it. Okay, and then I'll tuck this one underneath, like I was talking about earlier. It's just nice to be able to layer things up because you've made things dimensional. I also, on these smaller flowers, added some little beads into the center of those. I thought that was just a nice little element to add in. I'll group that in closer. And you can see how fast this is going because I just prepped all my pieces ahead and then I just laid them out how I wanted it to look. I think especially with the scrapbook page, having an idea of what you want your layout to be before you even start really helps in the building process. And it takes away some of the time that you need. I think that's all of those pieces, and then I'm just going to add a few more sequins down here. So what I would also do is I like to have journaling areas on my pages, and in this particular one I would probably draw some lines right here or up here at the top just to put in a few of the small details from the actual page. And then we flip it around so you can see the final thing. And there you have it, a really fun, bright, colorful scrapbook page. I think our product box there, as you can see, we have so many different types of makes that you can make from these things. All I needed extra on this one was just a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. Everything else was in the box or wasn't part of the free downloadable content. So it's really easy for you to come up with all kinds of different ideas with these. Also, I want to remind everybody, we have a Mother's Day sale going on our Sizzix.com website. So if you need to pick up some last minute gifts for mom, now is the time to head on over to there. But keep an eye out for our future product box contents. We've got lots of inspiration coming your way and we're really excited to share it with you. And we're so excited to see the reaction that you all had to it. It made us really happy to know that everyone was so excited to be part of it. So we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.